A fair chance at finding a healthy partner is one of the first things that trauma can take away. It shrouds secure partners from your vision and pushes you towards avoidant people who at first feel like a good partner. They spend time with you, they give you an emotional high, and although it all happens so fast, you would swear they're the ones who are meant to be with you for the rest of your life. But when they begin to pull away, you can sense it. And then, when they suddenly disappear, no, you almost refuse to accept it. They were the one. You'll get them back. You will make this relationship work. I know that right now you are crushed at the thought of losing this person. There will never be another one like them. However, after you hear a plight of a man who I will call Arlo, with an avoidant woman who ghosted him, leaving him feeling empty and depressed, you might find yourself agreeing that finding another like them is a blessing in disguise. So if you are struggling with an avoidant situationship and you're ready to count your lucky stars that they disappeared forever, then grab that bottle of nail polish because we are going to talk about it right now. Okay, Arlo writes, "Hello, Maria. I am a 37-year-old man, and it has been 3 years since my last relationship. This past 4th of July, I went to a barbecue, and I sat down next to a woman who I will call Delia. I've known Delia through mutual friends, though not very well, but I'll admit I had a bit of a thing for her when I first met her 10 years ago. But she never appeared interested, and we both went on to date other people. However, on this day, she was lively and engaged. She even said that she would messenger me with her number, and to my surprise, she did. I called her the very next evening, and we talked on the phone for hours. This went on for a week until our first date. She made the 45-minute trip to come to my neck of the woods because we wanted to go to a line dancing event hosted locally in my town. We got out late, and she did spend the night, but we did not sleep together on that night. We snuggled, and it was nice to feel a warm body in the house. After my last relationship ended, I never thought I'd have another lady to cuddle with on the couch. And after our first date, she kept coming over every day for the next week. It was awesome, and she lit up the house. She even told my dog that she was the new mommy. Then the next weekend, I drove to meet her at a concert. When I showed up, she was clearly annoyed. She began telling me about drama with this girlfriend of hers that got arrested that day. The rest of the night, Delia had a sour face, and every time I tried to shake her out of it or ask her if I could get her anything, I was met with a sneer and a shrug. She would barely even acknowledge me, and at the end of the night, I assumed I was sleeping over, but when she mentioned that her house was a wreck, I knew that I would be going home. On the way, she did call me, and we talked the whole ride home. And then once I got in, I sent her a message telling her that I missed her. That message was left unread. The next morning, there was no good morning text from her, which was unusual. She finally messaged me at 3 p.m. saying that she had slept all day. I was perturbed by this, as it was becoming obvious she was not very motivated, and she didn't have very much structure in her life. After she sent me that 3 p.m. message, I sent her another message, and she did not answer back. The next day was Sunday. She did not pick up when I called. She did not answer any of my messages asking if she was okay. Delia and I have not talked since that day, though not for my lack of trying. This is depressing. I don't want a relationship with someone who disappears or shuts down. Maria, is there any way that I can fix this? Arlo, I am so sorry that you are struggling. This disappearing act is an incredibly heartless thing to do to another person. Someone who could spend so much time with you only to ghost you shows a complete disregard for another person's feelings. So let's go through and we're going to comb through what you've said and see if we can help you out today. All right, you say that you didn't know Delia very well, but you guys had already met through mutual friends 10 years ago. You thought she was cute, but she appeared very uninterested, so I'm assuming you just never asked her out. But on this day, she was lively and engaged on this 4th of July. She even said that she was going to take the initiative to messenger you with her phone number, and she actually did, which was a surprise. Well, yeah, of course it was a surprise, because she has known you for 10 years, and according to you, she never appeared interested, which begs one of the most important questions I encourage people to ask on this channel. Why now? When someone who was never interested in you bursts into your life and then begins to saturate you with attention, why now? Because let me tell you something about women. We are not dumb. And we know when a guy thinks that at the very least, we are attractive. She could have pursued something with you 10 years ago. She knows she could have. But she chose to date and sleep with other men, even in a scenario where, let's say, you're a little bit shy. Women who are interested will help you out a little bit in that regard. Just like she did at the barbecue. She had no problem giving you her number. Why didn't she do it 10 years ago? So that's why I say you've got to ask why now. And I would ask that of anybody, friends even, for any reason, big or small. Why did they decide to take a pass on you and then suddenly come back? You got to kind of step back and get to know them a little bit, and let's see what's going on in the big picture. What is going on in their life where all of a sudden now they have to have you? And if it has anything to do with an insecurity, like a business collapse, or maybe they've been abandoned by a partner, or they're going through a divorce, I would take that sudden interest with a huge grain of salt. In other words, don't make yourself vulnerable to becoming hanging fruit that will temporarily provide dopamine through someone who is, say, going through a divorce. Because they'll get everything that they needed from you to help them through a bad time. But your bad time, well, it's just beginning. And now, I'm sure you know this. You say you called her the next evening and you talked on the phone for hours. And this went on for a week until your first date. I would definitely encourage you to have way stricter boundaries when it comes to just giving up all of your time every single day. And I want to point out, because you didn't say this outright, but you said after the first date she came over and you did not sleep together that night, which implies to me that for the entire rest of the week when she continued to come to your house, you did sleep together. And in my opinion, even though you didn't technically go all the way on that first date together, you said that you snuggled, which is an incredibly intimate thing, and it is a precursor to the bedroom. When I think of cuddling and snuggling with someone, okay, I wouldn't go to a strange man's house and crawl into bed and cuddle with him, because that could be incredibly dangerous. Now, maybe this woman doesn't pose a physical threat to you, but the act of being so intimate with her on that first night in the form of cuddling and snuggling, it can be pretty dangerous when it comes to creating a vulnerability with your emotions, especially if you feel like your life has been empty or kind of lacking a warm body, like you said, for a long time, 3 years. You say that after your last relationship ended 3 years ago, you never thought you'd have another lady to cuddle up with on the couch. So yeah, you said that she lit up the place and she even told the dog, like, hey, I'm the new mommy of the house. Well, I have to say that if a guy came in after one date and told me he was going to be the new daddy, I'd be a little freaked out. Well, probably more than a little freaked out. But we don't recognize statements like this as off because I think to us, people who have gone through life and we're used to relationships where we are the ones who are being pushed away, statements like Delia made to the dog, they don't feel off. They feel good. And you don't think like, oh, wow, this woman could potentially be very emotionally unsafe. You say it was awesome. She lit up the house. She says she's the new mommy. And yeah, hey, ready-made family. And for a lot of us, a loving, close family, that's the dream. So yeah, Arlo, let me show you a glimpse of what you have always wanted for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to rip it away from you. Yeah, it's traumatizing. You say the next week you drove to meet her at a concert. You said when you showed up, she was clearly annoyed and telling you all about this drama that she had with a girlfriend of hers that got arrested that day. I would be very observant. Be careful about the kind of company that people keep, because you're not just inviting Delia into your life. You're also inviting the kind of people that Delia spends time with. And really, that's not even love advice. That's just advice about people that I have learned the hard way over the years. And then you say the rest of the night, Delia had a sour face, and every time you tried to shake her out of it or ask her if you could get her anything, which is nice, you were met with a sneer and a shrug. Pretty. Well, welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also need to take care of the inner half, because this is how I know you've had relationship trauma in the past. You leave the concert that night, and instead of reflecting on the evening and feeling like something's off or you're feeling a bit put off by it, you do the counterintuitive thing and you want to latch on harder. It's like you're seeing this person who's sneering at you and being rude and mean to you. You're thinking that she looks even more attractive. See, but this is not a person who is attractive. This is a person who you would typically want to stay away from. And you probably felt relieved when she called you to talk the whole way home after you left, like, whew, false alarm. She still likes me, we're okay. And the thing that really stood out to me is you said that you got off the phone with her, but then as soon as you got into your house, you sent her a message telling her that you missed her. You're spending so much time together that the walk from your car to the house already feels lonely without her. The constant contact with her is setting you up for so much struggle if she is someone who does leave. And in dating, it is rarely the first person we meet that ends up being the one who is the happily ever after. Having strong personal boundaries helps you have a filter in dating, which is a process of getting to know someone. Dating is not an instant family. Now you say the next morning she didn't send you a good morning text like usual, which of course now you are hyper attuned to because you guys are typically in constant contact. And then she finally messaged you at 3 p.m. saying she slept all day, and you were perturbed at this because it was becoming obvious that she was not motivated and she didn't have much structure in her life. And I want to point out, Arlo, that you didn't seem to be so annoyed by this when she was spending hours on the phone with you and coming to see you every day. And if I were going to play devil's advocate for just a minute, someone that you have been dating for 2 weeks is not someone you have the right to control their schedule or their lifestyle. And this is where I'd like to shine some light on your line of thinking, like, well, I've known her for 2 weeks, but I want her to get up early and I want her to have goals and activities and structure and a job. And it's almost like because she's not talking to you, that means she needs to be doing something meaningful. And the fact that she isn't is now taking over your mind that day, and it's throwing you off course. Now, people who lack direction, well, people that I've met, they don't typically seem super happy, and I'll bet they don't feel very good about it. They don't know what they're going to do with their life. They feel like they're being left behind by everyone else. Maybe there's a substance abuse problem going on in the background. And with these people, anytime they feel a little called out, they will retreat. And don't worry, they're usually being pretty hard on themselves, except they don't really like to feel like that, which is why they use other people and hanging out with other people as a constant distraction. And Arlo, you cannot change an inherently lazy person. Not to say that people can't step up, but it does have to come from an internal motivation, spurred on by life events. And lazy people are a liability to your future. Trust me, I used to live with one, and cut to me calling around to see if businesses were hiring mechanics and trying to help him dress for success. What a waste of my time, not to mention completely codependent behavior on my part, which I will be the first to admit. I had so much of my own junk that I needed to be working on, and I wish I had. But that's why we're here. But you see how it only took a couple of weeks to realize that she might have a few things that don't really align with your values. And if you had a sense of yourself and what you do value in a relationship, like a partner who is motivated, this would have been wrapped up much faster and with a lot less grief. So, you say that after she messaged you at 3 p.m. saying that she'd been sleeping all day, you sent her another message and she didn't answer back. The next day was Sunday. She didn't pick up when you called, and she didn't answer any of your messages asking her if she was okay. So here we go. Delia is someone who disappears, aka she cares about you when it's convenient for her. Because if this was a healthier person, they will at least have the courtesy to tell you they aren't feeling well and they don't want to talk, because they don't want you to worry. And I have a video about asking people if they're okay when they are obviously ignoring us, and I will go ahead and link it at the end of this video. So Delia doesn't seem to have great friends. She does seem to get wrapped up in drama. She lacks direction, and she disappears. She doesn't care about your feelings. She's not even someone who has the potential to be a good friend, let alone a good partner. And yeah, that is depressing. And I know you don't want a relationship with someone who shuts down. Absolutely. But what I'm trying to help you see is you are under no obligation to have one. Delia is not your wife. There's no child involved. And technically, even though things went really fast, you've only had 2 dates. It's an attachment wound propelling you that this is the feeling of life or death. And I agree, it is nice having another person around the house, but it does not have to be her. You chatted up one woman at a social event, and that proves you can chat up another one. And then you titrate that woman into your life slowly. Now, you don't have to ignore texts from women. But if you are considering a woman as a potential mate, and then you find out she's someone who gets upset because you don't have hours a day to spend on the phone, I would definitely consider that a red flag. I mean, why do they have so much spare time they need to fill up? Could it be because they can't hold down a job or keep friends for very long? And then you say that you have not talked since that day, so it's probably been a couple of weeks now, though not for your lack of trying. And this is where it's kind of like she has switched on this addiction that's blossoming inside of you. I am a full-on believer that we as humans have the ability to fall in love very fast, like maybe only after a couple of months. But after 2 weeks, I would say this is more attachment than love. And it's totally understandable. You say you felt lonely. The house felt empty, and she lit it up, and now she's gone. Everything seems gray, and you probably feel worse off than you did before you ever got with her. And I know you said you have a dog, but having a dog is not the same as having a girlfriend. And oh, let's not skip over the part where she's telling your dog that she is the new mommy. And for someone who yearns for a family in their heart, this must have felt like that milk and honey description. It's that moment that addicts use to describe their first experience with, getting high. But when relationships are new and you're excited, especially someone you think is super cute and fun, relationships are always going to feel sparkly in the beginning. But you have to put things into place that will naturally protect you from people who just want to swoop in and use you for a good time. Because getting this attached to someone in 2 weeks is self-sabotage. And I understand that you're not meaning to do that. But we must get to a place where our feet are planted firmly on the ground so another person can't come in after only 2 weeks and then just have the power to emotionally knock us around. Now, you said it doesn't even appear that she's even opening up any of the messages you're sending to her, and you're depressed and you feel rejected. You thought she was the one. And oh, I forgot to mention, you said that you thought that she perhaps was a bit bipolar, but you don't know. And you're right, you don't know. And I don't know either. But what we do know is that she treated you like a jerk, and she can't be counted on. She wouldn't make a good girlfriend. She wouldn't make a good life partner. And I get that men can be enthralled with challenging women, but women can be a challenge in healthier ways. They don't have to be a challenge because you can't track them down for weeks at a time. That's not a fun, sexy mystery. That's terrible life partner material. And you want to know, Maria, is there any way I can fix this? Well, only if you have the power to fix her. And if you've watched my videos, you know what I'm going to say. It's not really possible. You'd have to fix her entire character. You'd have to fix her into someone who's not okay with using men to fill in the slow gaps in her life. But the irony is, and I don't mean for this to sound mean, but if Delia had a better character, And she didn't use people to pass the time. She probably never would have given you her number in the first place because, like you said, she never really seemed that interested in the first place. Now, I know that sometimes people give out their number with every intention of rolling the dice and thinking maybe this can turn into something. But in my gut, I don't believe that's what's going on here. I think there's a space in her life that she wants to fill up with a fun distraction, and I believe it was a distraction specifically because of the number of hours she spent with you. This is time that is totally over the top. This is someone who does not want to be alone with her own thoughts. She wasn't interested in changing anything, and the thing is, she doesn't want to hear it from that little voice inside of her either, which is why she fills up her time on phone calls and nightly sleepovers. What a wonderful escape from having to sit with her own thoughts. The way you fix this is you walk backwards through this to see how you got here, and you take a different path next time. Because maybe in a few years she could come to you and say, gosh, I was such a mess, or I was on drugs and I got help and I want to see you, but you guys were only involved for 2 weeks. And I say, thank goodness. Women like this will wreck your life. Their drama in public settings will tarnish your image. And I know you are a member of the channel, so I say to you, if she actually does ever reach back out, email me first. You say you don't want a relationship with someone who disappears, then why are you trying so hard to get her back? You will never mold her into your idea of who she has the potential to be. And I know you said it was nice having someone in the house, but if you're just allowing anyone in because you want a warm body, you do make yourself vulnerable to letting in a woman who's going to turn your house into a place you don't even want to go home to anymore. Because think about it. This woman who sleeps until 3 and fights with friends and snubs your attention. Well, think of what it would be like if you signed legal paperwork and now she's in your house all the time, except, well, now you can't get her out. And not even if you wanted to. This is a pivotal moment for you because it has only been 2 weeks. And your life will now become as complicated as you allow it to. And chasing after a jerk is an unnecessary complication. She's not talking to you right now. Great, she made it real simple. But now you must do the hard thing and take the no as an answer. You will get through this pain faster if you can fight the urge to message her, because her silence will emotionally regress you back to the initial pain of rejection. I encourage you to fight the next urge you have to text this woman. And then what I want you to do, Arlo, I want you to really observe how you feel once the wave of anxiety passes and the relief of not messaging her comes over you. Feels pretty good. You're gonna think, oh my God, thank God I didn't message that woman. And a big benefit is you're not going to lose any dignity or self-respect in that process. You didn't say to yourself, oh my gosh, darn it, I'm so weak, or I'm a loser. You know, this doesn't solve anything. And it's time that you start treating yourself like you would a friend. And this is why it's also good to have a healthy support network. You know, they tell you ever since you were a kid, you find an adult you can trust. And I think that advice holds up even as we grow up. We all need someone we can count on. And if you feel like you have no one in your life that is safe, no one that you can count on, Arlo, that is the immediate crisis that you need to address. This is the crisis that will keep you attaching to anyone who comes along. Now, I'm glad that you're a member, and I'm glad that anyone who subscribes to this channel is taking a step to seek out like-minded people and know that you're not alone. Everyone here knows how you feel, and I'll never shame you for struggling with the anxiety of no contact. And I have a nail color for you today, and it's called Scenic Route, because I'm from Florida, which means if I want to go anywhere, it's going to be a long drive, and there are no shortage of cows along the way. So you buckle in and you make the commitment to relax, because if you want to get somewhere safely, this journey is going to take a while. But Arlo, I'm going to tell you what you don't do. You don't pull over at the first cow you see, load her up into the vehicle next to you and take her along for the ride, and then hit the accelerator to get to where you want to go at double the speed. You're going to wreck, and it's going to be a mess. And the worst part is everyone passing and observing the result will say, what was this guy thinking? He must have known this could only end in disaster. And I know what that feels like. I called a relationship coach once, and that's what he said to me on the phone. He was like, how did you not see this discard coming? You must have seen this coming, but you don't see it until you see it. And no, you're never under any obligation to book a call with anyone. But I want you to know that if you ever call me, I won't treat you like that. But either way, I will don this scenic root color in honor of your new commitment to taking things slow. And if you want to learn why you never ask someone who's ignoring you if they're okay, I'll put that video right up here. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live Arlo's life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting The Other Half.